Welcome to the Shellonomics Podcast, presented by King Midas, your ultimate source for pure Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles entertainment. Stay tuned and dive deep into the Turtleverse with us. Catch all the action on YouTube and Twitch for non-stop Ninja Turtles adventures and retro gaming thrills.
King Mike and the heroes in a half shell.
Hey guys, another episode of Shellonomics. I am here with the host of Epic Tales from the Sewers, actually one of the co-hosts, Justin Cooper. So Justin, to get things started, what was your first experience with the Ninja Turtles?
My first experience with the Ninja Turtles, that's a great question. I want to say it was probably the cartoon. So something at or around there, and if not the cartoon, I saw them in like the back of a comic book. Maybe we'll go with that. So and I'm like, what the heck is this? They're in the back of my X-Men comic, and it's like one of those little things where you can order subscriptions, and you see, and I'm like, what are these guys? And then like the cartoon and the toys. Remember, because it came out, and I was in like first grade or something, and someone brought the toys in. I'm like, oh, these are cool. So something along those lines.
Yeah, I mean, they were just so unique with their sculpting and scales and their weapons. You know, it wasn't just it wasn't just little guns. It was like, okay, cool, this dude had nunchucks. Yeah,
I'm never far from something turtle related, you know. And I mean, I've got like a huge collection around. So
yeah, as we can see in the background too, which is fantastic.
Yeah, there's a Hellboy shelf, a Batman shelf, and then this is all turtles. I'll show you the Ronin sculpture.
Oh, yes, let's see that. Oh, my God.
Last Ronin. Art up on the walls and all that, but yeah, it's mostly turtles. Couple Fraggles, you know.
Oh, yeah, no, Fraggles are always good. Anything Henson's always good, too.
Yeah.
So what inspired you to start your own podcast? I know it came out in July of 2020 was your first episode on Spotify. So what inspired you to say, you know what, I want to do something Turtles?
Yeah, that's it's interesting because we had heard that there was a book coming out called The Last Ronin. And it was one of those things where we're in the height of the pandemic, you know, you can't go anywhere or anything, so you're kind of getting excited about, oh, what's this going on and all that. And I had a friend, a co-host at the time. He did not turn out to be a good person, so I kicked him off the podcast. But we started a group on Facebook called Epic Shells. And his part of this was going to be, he was going to run Epic Shells. And I said, okay, well, let's run a podcast too. And we were doing another podcast, which was like his show, which was a D&D show called Epic Tales. So I said, okay, well, what if we do something on brand and we do Epic Tales from the Sewers? And what it was originally going to be is let's read through the stories. Let's, you know, do the characters' voices and all that. And we'll see if we can get people interested in reading the comics and give them an audiobook style sort of show. You know, and then at the end, every episode will have a pizza recipe. Most likely from the Ninja Turtles pizza book, and then we'll go through and do it that way. And that was the whole impetus for the show. It was meant to go with, you know, in tandem with the Facebook group, and then just be kind of a venue where we can continue that brand and do an audiobook style reading of the Turtle comics.
So were you like a big reader as a kid, and did you do voiceover acting? Because again, the first episode you have is the IDW series, which, you know, brings up Splinter and how they kind of came to be. So really good job narrating too, by the way, on that one there, Justin.
Thanks. So it's funny because like thinking back on stuff like high school and all that, I was always like, why does a teacher always ask me to read? You know, and like I think about it and I'm like, oh, it's because I do read a lot at home, or I do things, but I mean, I have a background in doing theater and like audio plays and like live reads and things like that. So it's like, I mean, a couple years ago, I did a Christmas Carol as a 1940s radio play on stage with a Foley artist, where we were literally reading out like a 1940s radio play. So I've done it. You know, I can say I am a voice actor. You know, commercial work, stuff like that. But what it comes down to is I idolize these guys like Townsend Coleman, Cam Clark, Barry Gordon, Rob Paulson, you know, Renee Jacobs. Like, I idolize these folks growing up. I knew who they were, and I wanted to be just like them. Big fan of like Mel Blanc, Don Messick, you know, Frank Welker, these voice actors that are just so iconic. And I'm like, you know what? I don't know if anyone's ever going to give me a shot, you know, to play Leonardo, but I'm going to take it. And that's kind of where that came from.
So that's right. Okay. Yeah, I know. Yeah, all those voice, God, just It's insane. It's just crazy how for voice actors your legacy just lives on forever. Because again, it touched your soul as a kid, and it's like when you hear music, it's the same song you heard 20 years
exactly
ago.
like
it still touches your soul the exact same way.
Yeah, and I said, I'm like, all right, I'm probably going to figure out something going on. It's like, so my early Donatello doesn't sound like my Donatello now, and Raph definitely went a couple different ways, and I settled on something that I liked for Michelangelo in between Townsend and in between Wayne Grayson from the 2003 cartoon. So it's like, all right, so my Mikey's kind of like that, but I definitely have like a similar take. Like, I'll tell you, my Baxter Stockman is like, you know, that's 2003 Baxter Stockman. It's the best. That's why I had to do it. But Splinter, I didn't want to do like a weird sort of like Japanese characterization. So I'm like, all right, let me find something different. And I think that when it comes to like Splinter and Shredder, I bring something different to the table. So and that's just, it was interesting to me to try that.
No, I agree. I do like 2003 Baxter because he's more like narcissistic. He has the ego, and he's like, he doesn't, sissy out to anybody. He's like, he mans up to Shredder a lot in those shows, You know
who, and I don't know if this is official or if it's something that shouldn't be said, but Tom Waltz has said that he's based on a particular rock star. So Baxter Stockman is based on a particular rock star that likes to wear black and white makeup and breathe fire and rock and roll all night and party every day.
Well. We'll leave it up to the audience as to who that is.
That way we're not putting any words in his mouth, but I have heard that on really good sources.
Oh, man. Well, thank you very much for that little inside fact. So how did you come up with your logo and theme song to your show? Because I noticed it's Donnie and Mikey. Are those your two favorite turtles or your co-hosts at the time?
That's that's interesting because everyone says that, and I was like, no, I am a total Leonardo guy, and Eric is a total Raph guy. So it's so funny. And at the time, Mikey was the other host's favorite, and he's probably still his favorite and all that. Yeah. But it's one of those things where I met an artist in the Bish Kids Club for Ben Bishop, and we've become really good friends. His name is Ernest Acosta III, and I just asked him, I'm like, hey, do you want to do this? Because I have a logo. I think the logo that I have I got from Fiverr, and it's all right. It's got the turtle with the microphone, and it's just Raph and all that. And we tried to do color palette swaps and stuff, and I'm like, it's okay, but it's kind of hokey, and I'd like something a little bit more dynamic. So he comes back, and I told him, I'm like, do what you want to do. I want to see what you come up with. He comes back, and it's Mikey and Donnie, and I didn't ask him for this. Like, that's just how he made it, and they're reading the original first issue of comics. I think it's like the Raphael miniseries that Ben Bishop did. Recreates that white cover that it has. They're reading the Last Ronin and all that, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so cool. So I was just like, yeah, I like whatever the hell you did, and I'm never going to change that logo.
Yeah, and as Mikey is so engaged in it too. That's what you can just see in that picture. It's an incredible logo.
So I did get a commission from Ken Mitroni, who did the Archie Turtles back in the day. So I sent him the picture of our theme picture there, and I said, can you recreate this? But can you do it with Raph and Leo? And he did, and he sent me this awesome thing, and I'll see if you can see it. I've framed it, but it kind of has a glare. Let's see. I don't know if you guys can see.
Oh, yeah, no, I can see it. Yeah, right there.
So it's got the ring light glare.
Also, it's like an Archie kind of style, too, with the comic there. I like
exactly.
That.
So he's the original Archie artist and all that. So, so I had to get it with our two favorite turtles on there. But, I mean, getting to meet Ken and all that, it was so exciting. But, yeah, I mean, we got it from him. He's not really a published guy, but he did one of the fan covers for Last Ronin, where it had that little story with all the different covers, and he did one of those panels. And he's an awesome artist, and he actually does the voice of the Shredder on TMNT Decennium, so it's pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. Where is that actually? What is that one? TMNT? Which one?
Decennium. So we did an interview with them maybe about a year ago with Leroy Diaz and Sean something and Ray Mannix, some of the actors that were on there. And they have a show which is kind of like a fan show of like Ninja Turtles going through different dimensions and what happens and stuff. So that's interesting because they have a couple people on there, like Scott Williams, who did the voice of the 2003 Baxter. He's on it. Renee Jacobs is on it. I am on it. So I do a couple voices for them too. but he does the voice of Shredder.
Oh my goodness, I'm gonna have to check that out then. So we got to be in touch after the show and link me up to that too. I'd love anything Turtles, we're fans of. So
yeah, I was excited they let me do my Krang because I never get to do Krang, and I was like, oh, they're like, we need a 1980s Krang. I'm like, this is the part I was born to play.
Can you give us a line of the 80s Krang here as a preview for us of what's on that site? Let's hear it.
Shredder, you buffoon.
Oh my God, you do it just like Pat Fraley with the little, almost like, because he always says in his, shows, it's like he has that little like belch, and I can see you're like just watching what your, video, like
years of watching cartoons have, it's just like, I just wanted to pick up a phone call and go, I'd like a pizza, please.
I hope you do that one day.
I probably will. I mean, it's not that I haven't, but yeah, that's like, to me, that's the fun part. It's like I said, no one's going to hire me to pay me to play Krang or anything else like that. So if I don't take the opportunity to do it, it's not going to be there.
Yeah.
So, and now like I can say it's like, oh, I got to play Batman in a book, and I got to play, what did I do? The Preacher in Hellboy, the Crooked Man, and stuff like that. It's like, these are like exciting things for me to do.
Yeah, exactly. And you can tell you're passionate about it too, and you bring good energy. So why not?
Gotta have that energy. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, 100%, especially at our age. That's what keeps us young, pretty much. So how did you come up with your theme song? You don't have to play there. I want people who are listening here to check out our friend Epic Tales from the Turtles on Spotify. But the theme song on your show reminds you like I'm about to play a Ninja Turtle game for Nintendo or Game Boy, and you also have the "Hey" in there like they have in the Super Nintendo Turtles time and Turtles 3 for Nintendo. So we hear a little bit about that.
You are a true gamer because you've picked it out. My theme song comes from 8-Bit Alchemy, who has his own YouTube page. He's also a co-host of the Retro Redoctopus podcast, of which I have joined last year, so I'm helping those folks out. Solid. And we have a great time. 8-Bit Alchemy is, he's amazing as it comes to like music. He makes 8-bit music, and he pulled from the soundboards from the original Konami games. So my old theme song, which is the one you were talking about, and the new one, which just came out, all 8-bit music that's pulled from the soundboards of the original Ninja Turtles Konami game. So including the, hey, all that stuff.
Exactly, I don't know why they threw that in there, because it's from Konami, but it just sticks in your head when you're playing that, because that's the only thing that stood out, is that's the only language you hear in the game is hey, pretty much.
Yeah, I think so. Or you hear like, fire!
Yeah, or Turtle Power, but yeah, pretty much just hey is the one that's a staple.
Tonight I dine on turtle soup.
So your first episode here, Changes Constant, is narrating the first issue of the 2011 IDW series. What made you choose that one to go first? Is that just like, I know you said your passion and intention behind the show is to be almost like a narrator for the Turtle comic, so what made you go with that one instead of the 1984 comic?
Because everybody starts at Mirage, and I feel like there's like what are you going to do? Wait 5 years until you get to the new stuff that's relevant? So I'm reading this stuff right now. I think like when that happened, we had already gone past issue 100, and then Sophie Campbell takes over for Tom Waltz and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm like, well, a lot of this stuff's going on right now, and I'm like, I want to get to this. I want to talk about Fugitoid, and I want to talk about the neutrinos, and I want to talk about like the Last Ronin, and I don't want to wait 5 years after I get through City at War, where you can go to another channel and they did City at War 3 years ago on YouTube or something. So let's do something fresh. Let's do something different. Let's start at a different point in time and give people a chance where they can still go out and get these issues. Because at the time, you can go to your comic book store and you can say, hey, on my pull list, can you add Ninja Turtles? I'm really liking this podcast or anything. So, hopefully. But that's kind of the idea. Like, let's not do the same thing everybody else did. Let's do something a little bit different and give folks a chance to catch up and then jump on.
Well, I'm actually going to bring that up too, because like we talked about before we went live is, you can get podcast burnout, and pretty much like you're saying, if you go from, comic one all the way to present day, you might get burnout. So you've been doing this for over 100 episodes already. What is your drive and passion to say, you know what, I'm going to, your purpose in this, like what makes you keep going?
There's been times where I have unexpectedly met someone who's a fan or recognized the logo or something else like that, and it's just like it's one of those things where it's like I said this to you, Mike. I'm a nobody. I'm not a creator. I'm not an artist. I'm not a writer or anything else like that. Not yet.
Right.
None of that stuff. But
Sure.
the fact that I do something that's important to people, that gets them through their third shift or gets people through, their long drive to work or anything else like that, and that's the kind of feedback that I get. Like, oh, I love this. This is great. I love listening to this when I drive to work because it sucks and I got to drive in at like 6 a.m. or something like that. Like that's awesome. But the whole point was literally to have something that you could listen to with your kids. Like, oh, okay, I want to listen to the Archie Adventures and all that. You can listen to this with your kids, and you can read along while you're doing it, and it will encourage them to read. So that was the entire point of why I wanted to do this. I said there's never been an audiobook version of the Turtles besides the cassette tapes that came out with a couple comics in the 80s.
Yes, exactly.
And I had those. I love those.
Same here.
There was a lot great about that. And I remember having like the records when I was a kid for like Masters of the Universe, oh man, all that stuff. And I loved it. I'm like, this is how I wanted to consume media. And I know there's other people out there like me. And because of that, I would go and I would seek out the books and the stories and all that. And I said, what a great way to get people interested in these comics to read them and to pass it on to their kids. Like you can sit there and you can listen to The Last Ronin. I think there's like one swear in it. But you can listen to that start from finish, 2-hour episode with your kid and be like, wow, that was exciting. Do you want to go buy the book? Like you could do that. And that's kind of the idea.
Now, I believe we don't get too personal. You do have kids, though, right, Justin?
Oh yeah. My kids both love turtles. So,
so do you do the read-alongs with them? Like, what are they like? What are some of your favorite memories with your kids? Like, what books do they like to read? Were you narrating them for all the voices? I'm sure you were.
100%. Yeah. Like we started it out. We started out early with like different books, and I mean they were into like all kinds of stuff. And like the big ones I can think of is we did the entire Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Like we did the whole thing.
Man.
Runaway Ralph or The Mouse and the Motorcycle, like that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Wizard of Oz, we did like 2 or 3 of the Wizard of Oz books. Just to be silly, I did some like Edgar Allan Poe stuff. But I mean, like the Harry Potter books. Like we read through, I think, the first 3 books of Harry Potter, and I would do like a chapter a night when they were going to bed. So, it's not like this wasn't something that was like, oh, I'm gonna just start reading. Like I had been doing this for years. I used to volunteer on Read Across America, and I would go every year for Dr. Seuss's birthday and read a book, usually either like The Lorax or Mulberry Street or Oh, the Places You'll Go, and I'd read it for like a group of children. So I used to do that stuff too.
That's some real cool kid spirit.
Well, that's the whole point. It's like, what are we doing this for? It's like, yeah, turtles are great, and they're great as like a 43-year-old and all that, but it's like, now it's like, wouldn't it be cool if like your 8-year-old liked this and they were into it, and how are they going to consume this? Well, they can go and they can listen to it because maybe they're not so great at reading.
Yeah,
and that's just kind of where I come from. Like I'm big on child literacy.
It's incredible. Well, maybe one day you're gonna write your own turtle book, or if you haven't already.
For certain. I've got a couple ideas. So if they ever bring back the black, white, and green, I got a couple plans.
Oh, that would be awesome, Justin. Let's talk about a couple of your guests here. You've had a huge volume of guests. You've gone with fans like Michelle Ivey. You've had voice actors like Tom St. Coleman. You've also had Daniel Pacino. This is the one I want to talk about because this one is kind of like a, wow, I never knew this about it. So let's hear, how did you actually get in touch with him, and just if you can elaborate on like, who he is for those who don't know, who are listening to this today.
If you are a content creator like yourself, I would going to recommend a couple things. It used to be Twitter. It used to be Twitter where you could reach out to somebody and send them a message and stuff like that, or X or whatever it is now. That is not what I'd recommend. Okay. I would say go to the person's website, find their contact me email. That's number one. Number 2 is Instagram. You cannot discount how simple it is just because you're like, oh, they'll never do this. Send them something on Instagram. I would say most of the people that I've gotten, if it didn't come from that particular email from their particular website, is from Instagram. And, be honest and be forthright and be like, hey, I have a channel. I'd like to see if we could do an interview with you. Here's a link to my content. Take a look. If it's something you like, I'd love to have you on. Are you available in January? And that's what I would suggest. And it took me a while to get up confidence for that. I think we had I forget who the first actual guest was or anything, but I know we went after like this live stream. We went after comedian Norray Davis, and
Okay.
that was pretty cool because he was telling all kinds of Ninja Turtle jokes, and he's kind of like a comedy rising star. Now he's friends with Ben Bishop, and Ben Bishop did the cover of his comedy album. He did it like Akira, so it's like, oh, cool. So, like, that was the first one. I think then we had always talked about getting Townsend. I just thought, I'm like, oh, this no way going to happen. No way it's going to happen. We did. And then he came on, and it was really cool. And it was like, oh, maybe this could be part of the show, too.
Yeah.
And I had never intended to have guests before. But it was just one of those things where it's like, it worked out so well, and it was so conversational that it just made sense. It's like, yeah, let's do this. So by the time Michelle comes around, I had done interviews for other shows and stuff like that. Like I had John Rhys Davies on another show that I did called Geek Life HQ. So, it's like, all right, now I know how to. Like Bobcat Goldthwait was on one of their episodes, and director of Wayne's World and Beverly Hillbillies, Penelope Spheris. So I'm like, all right, I know how to handle celebrities.
Sure.
And by the time Michelle had come on, it's like, I've been doing this so long, it's just like, oh, this is easy. It's like...
God. So did you have a favorite, like, because this Daniel Pacina, according to the notes here, is a foot soldier in Turtles 2, and he's actually Johnny Cage in the Mortal Kombat video games? So how in
Johnny
the world...
Cage, Scorpion, and Sub-Zero, and technically Reptile. So,
Okay.
And his brother Carlos was Raiden.
What was it like talking to him? That's just another oddball guest, which just brings so much value to your channel here. Just stuff that we don't get to hear as Turtle fans.
So Daniel's cool because I like martial arts, and I think that martial arts is such an important part of Ninja Turtles that it's like let's talk martial arts. Like, what do you think? Do you think like Asai is cool? Do you think like nunchucks or anything? Like, I'm like if you're locked in for that, like I want to know about like Eagle Claw and like what kind of kata and stuff. But it's like it wasn't quite like that because he's in like a different. He does like actual kung fu or Wing Chun or something like that. But it's cool to see someone of his stature where it's like he's referred to as master for a reason. This guy is legit. He has a school where he teaches in Chicago and all that, like self-defense. He's been in competitions. He has been in the thick of it. And this is a foot soldier, dude. Like, you think of like how elevated it is that Johnny Cage was a friggin' foot soldier. So there's like that icon of your childhood for like gaming and all that. And I'm a Johnny Cage main. Like, I love Johnny Cage, Mortal Kombat 2. Like, I fully admit that. So, that era sort of. But he was just a cool guy to talk to. He has like that really cool sort of mystique about him where it's like not a lot of people realize that you were in Turtles and that you're part of this mythos and all that. And it was cool to kind of peel back that onion and just be like, what's your part in this? What do you think of this? And what do you think as a martial artist? That's why I thought he'd be a compelling guest.
Oh, yeah, and it's a great trivia question, too.
Yeah, absolutely,
So how about this one? What was it like talking to the cast of Casey Jones Live Boy? This is, again, thanks to your channel.
Awesome.
I find out all this cool turtles I didn't even know existed thanks to your channel.
They are so awesome, and I really enjoyed that. The funny thing about that is I met Adam, who played Casey Jones. I met him at a con not far from my house, DuPage Comic-Con. And he was doing art, and I walked by because I really loved this version of Slash that he had did. And then he had, like, his book was like an adult coloring book of all Masters of the Universe characters. This is great. Skeletor on the cover, everything else. I'm like, wow, this is awesome. Like I love it. So I bought the print of Slash, and I got the book, and I didn't think much of it. I'm like, oh, Adam's art box. Okay, cool. Years later, I see that there's Kickstarter going on for this thing, and I'm like, oh, that might be a really fun thing, to have somebody on the show about. Like, let me check this out. Sure enough, it's the same Adam, so it's that Adam. So and then it's his business partner out of Vegas, and then their art friend out of LA and all that, and like all these guys, and we have them on the show, and it was one of those things like, I know you, oh, I know you, like we didn't realize that until we got there. So just getting to know these two, and then we went to I went to the premiere of the movie. Out in Chicago. They had the premiere at one of the theaters out there. and got to see everybody take pictures with it. Did the Kickstarter. I've got like the VHS copy. I think I have that close by actually. Like all this stuff. I mean, the movie's fantastic. It knows what it is. It knows what it wanted to do. They did it in like 22 minutes. They put it out for free on YouTube. They did everything right. You know, like I was trying to help them find Corey Feldman at the time to do a voice, but it didn't work out.
Oh,
So-
that would have been cool. Okay.
But I mean, like, you talk about a fan project. They did a soundtrack, like with like their band. I want to say it's like Wolf Mother or whatever it is. I don't know. I have it on Spotify, but
Gotcha.
you know, they did everything like oh, we're gonna do the music, we're gonna do the art because we're artists, we're gonna make all the costumes, we're gonna have this, we're martial artists, so we have this. Every single piece of what they did it had so much integrity, and they didn't take themselves too seriously along the same time. I could not say enough good things about them. So they were just really, really fun to talk to.
Yeah, just so I mean, every episode you have, just like Shellnomics and other podcasts, they're all special. But is there one that stands out to you right now that is your personal favorite? That is of all the episodes you've done so far, which is well over 100 too. Congratulations on having over 100 episodes too. By the way,
Oh, thanks, man. It's fun. There's an episode that I always thought didn't get enough credit. Like my most listened to episode is The Last Ronin, The Long Cut, which is a 2-hour version of all 5 issues of Last Ronin. I did a similar one with The Lost Years and all that, but there's a 2-issue episode that I did, which was called Infestation. And I love this because it's kind of like a Lovecraftian horror investigation sort of thing with like the turtles trying to figure out what's going on in the sewer. It was part of an IDW event that was like My Little Pony, Transformers, X-Files, The Crow. All of them had infestation. So it was like company-wide crossover, but nobody was in it. So I did the comic reading of this. I don't think a lot of people have that book because it's not in the hardcovers, I don't believe. So like you have to find the book to read it. So that was really special to me. Like I really liked it. I liked the idea of getting the book out there, and it was fun. It was a cool read. It looked amazing, and I'm like, I always felt like that one. It's called Infestation.
Yeah, I've never heard of that. So let's
Exactly, and I'm like, why aren't more people listening to this? Because that was really cool. So I'll say that's one that stuck out to me. I don't know if I have a favorite because like there's so many guests that have made such like an impact. Like I didn't know like Jason Flowers would be like such like I would become such a huge fan of him. Hugh Rookwood, Mike Ruth, Gavin Smith, Pharaoh Pay, like these are like people. It's like, oh, I love these guys. Like Camillo Di Petrantonio, like as people, Freddie, Freddie Williams, awesome. Like I've had a chance to meet all of these people in person now, with the exception of Jason. But like it's just been like so impactful. So it's like I can't say that it's like I have a favorite like guest interview. Yeah. I did give Francois Chow like the biggest hug though, like when I saw him this year. So, but yeah, I mean for comic readings, I like the IDW stuff, and Last Ronin was a lot of fun to come up with the voices. But I'd say check out Infestation because that's one that I always thought, maybe that would be one that would catch on if people knew about it more.
I'm gonna have to. So yeah, since you're the bigger comic guy, which story again? If you only if you had an imaginary gun in your head, a Nerf gun, we won't be fine. Which series do you like better? The Origin? Do you like the '84 Mirage or do you like the IDW 2011?
Oh, no question, the 2011 Mirage one. I'm a big Archie guy because that was a thing that like I saw Turtles, but then when I saw the comics, like the Archie comics and all that, that's what cemented like, oh, this is for me. I'm gonna be this guy. Like I'm gonna read all these comics, and if I make any money, for like Christmas or something like that, I'm gonna go buy these comics. So I was hooked on those. So IDW takes the 84 series and the Archie series and any other series that it has, and it melds like everything together. Past that, Tom Waltz is like Chris Claremont from the X-Men, because Chris Claremont did the X-Men for 17 years. He did like I don't know, hundreds of issues and stuff like that. But he always had layers and breadcrumbs for what's coming next and something else and callbacks to something he did like 6 issues ago and all that. It's phenomenal writing. Like when you go through and you get to issue 14 and you realize that this character is actually an alien robot from the planet Neutrino trying to escape General Krang and all that, and you're like, I did not see that coming. in my day and age of reading so many comic books, the fact that he fooled me like that, holy crap. So to me, I think the IDW is just, they've never gone this far. 150 plus issues now, and then they've got all the mini-series, the micro-series, and like the little spotlights that they do on the characters and all that. I think it's just the best. As a solid body of work, if nothing else existed, you would be satisfied with just this.
I'm with you. I like how Splinter did the color headbands. I love the Bebop and Rocksteady mini issue. Yep. They're just tons of them. They're just so cool in those comics. Bebop and Rocksteady. That's
actually going to be part of the next one that I'm doing, the Bebop and Rocksteady one. So we're just
really?
about there. Yeah, because we're at City of War right now. I'm just going through and editing it, so it's all Dark Leonardo stuff. So which is really, really solid. Mateus Santaluco artwork and Tom's writing. Awesome stuff.
And being a Leonardo fan, of course you'd like that spot.
Yeah, where I got this. Where's this guy? Yeah, here he is. I don't know if you're a figure guy, but I picked the Loyal Subjects Dark Leonardo.
Oh man, look at the grid on him.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I have a piece on the wall too from Gavin Smith that's Dark Leonardo. So, and he ended up using most of the piece to create a cover. But it's way different than what he gave me. But he used like the same pose and all that kind of stuff. But it was really cool.
Oh gosh, that is. I think we are gonna have to do a little show and tell before we let you go later for that when we get to that spot. Because I do have an awesome collection of turtle stuff right behind you.
Oh god. Yeah.
So what's been the most challenging part of running a podcast? You've been doing this for 4 years now, right? You started in about July 2020. So what's been one of the more challenging aspects of running your own show?
It is at times like difficult to like figure out what guests you want to get and do that, but I mean the editing is tough because I don't want to put something out there that is not good quality, so it takes me a long time. And I probably don't have to do as much as I do, but if I edit a 20-minute comic book read, it takes me 4 hours. So it takes a long time. And I go through and I take out every like anything else like that, like the early stuff that I have, I didn't do that as much. And I think that if you listen to like the quality now versus if you listen to the quality then, you're like, oh, he's definitely grown up as a podcaster. And I even debated, like I was talking to my co-host Eric, and I'm like, should I go back and redo the original issues and all that? And he's like, nah, just move on. I'm like, all right, because I'd love to, and it's not like I'm a perfectionist, but it's like I feel like where I am now, it's not the same place. So I'm like, oh, okay. But that's the challenge. It's like I would have weekly episodes if I could, but I don't want to give people a 20-minute episode of a comic and then move on to something else and all that, and then come back like 3 weeks later and you get this. I would rather do like, here's an arc. Here's 4 issues, and you're going to find out this is Karai. She's upset because Leonardo took over for her as the second in command of the Foot Clan. And then there's the Alapex story, and Alapex is upset at Shredder. And in these 4 issues, you're going to see how these characters evolve and go through this. And then we're going to cut it off and go to the next story, which is Rocksteady and Bebop. Like, let's give people an hour or, as close as possible of content you can go through and you can get absorbed in it, rather than like, tune in next week for the thrilling conclusion of episode 2. It's like, I don't.
We'll see you in 2026 to be continued. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Well, thanks for the cliffhanger, Justin. Yeah,
and that's the thing too. It's like I'm doing issues 1, issues 2, issue 3 of Lost Years and all that, and I'm like, I'm sure most people are just waiting for when I do all 5 issues. Like, and they'll listen to them because they listen every week or whatever, but it's like, if I go back, it's like, I don't think anybody's going back to listen to issue 3 of The Last Ronin. They're going to just listen to the one that has all of them in it,
Right. Yeah, you can eat buffet.
Which is fine. Like, however you want to consume it, it's like absolutely fine.
Which is cool. You give people the option too, which like some people, it's either this or that. It's like, it is nice to have the option there too.
And I'll tell you that Last Ronin and the Last Ronin Lost Years are the only 2 episodes that I have that do not feature a pizza time segment.
So can we actually talk about that little pizza recipe then? Like, how did you come up with that as like your kind of like finale, like zinger, like for the end of your episodes? You talked about that earlier.
So we were talking a bit about like other Turtles podcasts, right? Like, so there's a couple out there. When I started, there was 2. There was Der Turtle Talk out of Germany. So and he does an awesome job. He finally translates it into English and all that. And there was Brian's show. Everybody else had some sort of thing where they're like, oh, maybe I go through the comics, or there's a couple out there, but they really weren't doing much. So how do you make yourself different? How do you stand out from the crowd? What do you do to differentiate yourself? I'm like, well, we're going to do the Turtles comics reads and, do voices and stuff. And, well, why don't we have a Mikey moment, at the time, which we had. So we'll break it up, because if you're listening and you're just listening all the way through, it gets boring. There's no interaction. There's no anything else like that. So I'm like, okay, let's try that. And let's do, I get it, a pizza recipe in every episode. That way we're different enough where if you remember nothing else, you'd be like, oh, is that the one with the pizza recipe? So just some way to differentiate ourselves and to go into different sort of interest parts. And it comes up, like when we're talking to like Master Pacino, like, oh, what do you like on pizza? He's in Chicago. Of course he's going to talk, and anything else like that. So any way to differentiate ourselves from the herd, and that was kind of the thought. And I mean, it's been interesting, because now we've had great conversations with people about pizza. And we had a guest that was on just about pizza. Kirk from Kirk Cooks, who did the entire cookbook of the Ninja Turtles cartoon pizza toppings, made them and then actually ate them. And I don't think that would have happened if we weren't as interested in pizza. So,
did you ever try the s'mores pizza out of that book? I actually made a s'mores pizza. It was actually really good.
I was trying to think. I don't know how many of these that I've made from the book. I have not made that one, but I have made from the Ghostbusters cookbook, which I featured on there, the Cheez-It macaroni and cheese. That was awesome.
I'll have to check out that one. I never heard of that one. I got a couple of friends who are big Ghostbuster fans. Now that you mentioned that, let me write that down so I don't forget. What was it? Cheez-It, you said?
Yeah, Cheez-It. Actually, I'll as soon as I find it, I've got the cookbook, but it's here it is, Ghostbusters cookbook. So Eric Burnham, who is the main scribe for most of the Ghostbuster stuff, he's the one who's currently writing the B plot in Mutant Nation.
Okay.
And, I mean, he did the secret origin of the Foot Clan, all that kind of stuff. He's kind of like the Foot Clan guy with Mateus Santaluco, so he's a huge Ghostbuster guy. So.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a really good one. But no, I've not made the s'mores pizza on that one.
I highly recommend this, but if you're feeling a dessert, man, it's a lot of prep work, but it is. I'll send you a photo of how it turned out so you can see it.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Homemade one. Where we're going to go from here. So what are you most proud of Epic Tales from the Turtles? I mean, the feedback I've heard from you is just, it's got to be so humbling for someone to come in and say, hey, you helped me get through my work there. Help me, take an escape from reality. So what are you most proud of with your show?
I'm going to put it this way. We have imposed ourselves upon the Turtle fandom to the point where people who would never know my name and know my face. And it's one of those things like, when you show up at a place and someone who has no reason to say hi to you says hi because they know you and they recognize you, that's crazy to me, Yeah. And it's like, I didn't put a dime in this person's pocket. They have no reason to be excited or anything else like that, other than it's like they genuinely enjoyed an experience with me. That's crazy to me. And that's what it is. Like, when we were out at Granite State and I met Ken Scott in person. So Ken Scott's the actor inside Raphael in most of the first movie and the second movie for Ninja Turtles. And he fist pounds me because, hey, how you doing, man? Good to see you. Glad you made it out and all that. So we know each other from online. We know each other because we did an interview together or something like that. We interact. I read his book, everything else like that. He has nothing to gain from knowing me, anything else like that. He knows my name. That's crazy to me. It's just one of those things. It's like, and like getting to meet Kevin Eastman and getting to talk to these people. And like, I ran a panel last year, like at Granite State, and the panel was, it was Steve Levine, Ben Bishop, John Somariva, Freddie Williams, Mike Ruth, and I don't think Mateus was there. I think that's all that was at that panel, I believe. But it was crazy. Like, I ran a panel at TurtleCon, with all these turtle people. Insane. Who the hell am I? you know?
True.
But I mean, that's the thing. You keep a positive outlook, and you don't be one of those people that's just like constantly like crapping on, oh, I don't like this or I don't like that, and just like accentuate the positive stuff about this and keep that energy going forward. And it's like we've just found that people have had a really good experience, and that translates into when we meet them in person, and they're excited.
And that's why I feel the whole Turtle universe is. It's just a whole big magical universe. There's so, because everybody gives. I mean, the voice actors, from our generation, the magic behind the first movie. I mean, they're just all such giving people. They don't have to give us the time of day. And like you say, they're here talking to us. And
yeah.
You've met all the voice actors at Comic-Cons. How nice is the original voice cast of Turtles when you meet them? I mean, they don't have a time limit. They don't say next after you sign. They'll sit there and talk to you for an hour if they want. They don't care.
So I started, I've done like podcasting a lot over the years, and I had a show that I started called the the Fantastic Podcast, right? And it was supposed to be all about like fan experiences.
Okay.
I found it's really hard to like get people like, oh, hey, will you come on the show and talk about this? It was really hard. So, it's not something I do often anymore. But my first episode I had where I talked about at, I think it was at like Wizard World or something like that when I met these guys. And it was amazing. Like, just like meeting like Barry and Cam Clark and Townsend Coleman and Rob Paulson. Like, it was amazing, and that would have been enough. But then getting to meet them again, and I brought my family with me. I brought my 2 kids, and I brought my wife, and we got to meet everybody. We did a huge group picture and all that. Well, my kids are, a little shy or something like that.
Yeah.
And then they go up and talk to Cam Clark, and they're like, "Oh, I love you on this cartoon show, Monster High." And he's excited because that's a role that he doesn't get. Like, people won't be like, "Oh, you love me as this character," and all that. He does the voice. And then it's like, she's on cloud 9. He has made her experience worth millions of dollars to me. And I paid like, I don't know, $200 or something for like a family picture or whatever, and then on the other end, Rob Paulson is like, "Oh, you like Donnie? Oh, and is talking to my other kid. And then Barry Gordon's next to my wife. He's like, "Oh, you're almost as tall as I am." It's like, and we're having the time of our lives. And I'm like, "Townsend, good to see you again." He's like, "Hey, buddy," it's just one of those things. It's like, I don't know, you can't even put like a dollar amount on how cool it is to have these voices from your childhood give you that sort of like gratification that it's like, hey, you were right about us all along. It's like, yeah, Michelangelo is your favorite. Well, cool, because I'm the coolest person you're ever going to meet. Or, Leonardo got you through some hard times. Well, great. I'm that guy doing the voice, and I hope you're doing well. It's like, this is nuts to me.
And that's what they said in those bonuses for the DVDs, I'm sure, where like how they said they would actually call kids from the hospital like, "Hey, this is Leonardo. Hopefully you're going to be able to pull through," but just to try and inspire kids like that too.
And there's a lot that comes to that, because these are the formative years where you're like, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years old or something like that, and maybe you're thinking about doing something wrong, and you hear Leonardo's voice. And I mean, that's probably more dramatic than whatever, but I mean, like realistically, I think about stuff like that. Like, and I would think about it. I'd be like, yeah, it's not very. That doesn't follow the Bushido code like Leonardo would want. And I'm such a Leonardo guy. I'd be like, that's not an honorable decision. Or or maybe I'll throw a one line out there like Raph would do. It'd be like, "Oh, you listening to this guy?" It's like.
I will say you do an awesome Barry Gordon voice. If I were to do a phone call and you said, "Hi, this is Barry Gordon," I would have definitely believed that you were Barry Gordon.
So we were talking about the Decennium, right? So they do kind of like a turtle multiverse.
Okay.
And I tried out for a couple characters. The first one I got on was my last Ronin, Raphael. And I was so excited in that. I'm like, okay, great. Like, I love doing the Raph, and it's my Raph that I do from the show. So it's cool. And he's like, "Can you do any impressions?" I'm like, "Yeah, you heard the Krang. I can do Krang." Yeah. He's like, "Can you do any of the 80s Turtles?" "Well, I did the Michelangelo, and he liked it. So, Mikey." "But then I did Barry, and it's a little high, sure, yeah." And those were kind of the ones that I got on. So, maybe, we got a problem, guys. So that was mine. And it's literally a caricature of Barry, because that's as close as I can get it. But I liked it, and it was fun to do, and I can usually get there pretty easily and go back and forth. And that's the fun part about voice acting. Like, when you get to do like 8 characters in a row and they're talking to each other, oh my God, what a challenge that is. Because I don't stop in between takes. I'm just like, "We've got to go get Shredder. Oh, what's going on, guys? Oh, no way. Cool." Like, I'm just like flying through it. And I'll go through and editing. If I don't like a take, I'll just take the take out.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've been making these voices with action figures for years since I was a little kid. I'm like, now I can do this, and you're gonna put it out there, and I'm in the episode with Renee Jacobs as Donatello. What? You know.
Yeah. Another quick question I didn't have written down is, since you're a huge comic guy, I was going to ask you where you see your podcast 5 years from now, but on top of that too is, do you see yourself doing the Saturday morning adventure comics on here one day for your show? Because that's like the old cartoon, and with the voices you have, I mean, I think that would be a great listen down the road.
I really need to work on my Raphael to get something like that going, because I would love to do that. I think the first 4-issue miniseries was a revolution, and the way that when they came out with that book, they made something that is approachable for kids, that you didn't have to know 100 issues to get into and all that, and that you could like be happy about. Because there's a lot of Turtles fans out there that are like, oh, I only like the cartoon, or I only like the '84 version of the Mirage stuff. Fine. So to answer your question, absolutely. I don't think I'm ready for it yet, and I think it's one of those things where it's like, it's probably on, in my head or something where something would be good enough, but it's like, I don't feel like I have the Rob Paulson Raph down. So maybe I would get somebody else to do that part. Like, I don't know. But maybe I would just read it out. But yeah, I mean, I have all of them. Like, I just picked up the new one, which is
yeah, I've had so much fun reading those. The guys in the artwork do a great job. The stories are great. The Casey Jones one was off the hook.
The newest one. Yeah, this is 18, so issue 18 now.
Oh, wow.
So they're at. And I mean, Eric Burnham, again, the guy we were talking about, who is probably one of the most underrated writers, is phenomenal. Everything that he does, he pretty much invented, like if you like the Spider-Verse and all that, he did that first with Ghostbusters. That's how good this guy is and everything. Yeah. Like, he even tied in the animated Ghostbusters, the like the real Ghostbusters, Extreme Ghostbusters, the video game, Nintendo game, and like the 2016 version with the female Ghostbusters. He tied all of them in, all of them. He is a monster, and he wrote the Ghostbusters crossover with the Turtles. So he's writing this book with Sarah Meyer, and I cannot tell you what a savant Sarah Meyer is when it comes to animation. She knows volumes about the Ninja Turtles '87. She's a adjunct college professor, when it comes to stuff. So it's like brilliant person doing this wonderful art. So yeah, I've got to get to it at some point.
Yeah, I'd love to hear the way you've been going, how you just how passionate you are, and you do a damn good job on these voices too.
There's some things that it's like, I don't know when, but it's like I'm gonna cover the Image ones, which is Urban Legends. I'll cover that at some point, but that's like, okay, down the road. So you said, where are you in 5 years?
Yes.
My best answer to you would be hopefully retired. So
with the podcast, you think you're going to be done? That's what I'm saying. In the podcast for 5 years, you think you're going to be done in 5 years?
I don't know.
10 years to work.
The goal was, like, I was thinking about this. I'm like, what would be cool? It would be cool if I could do the IDW series through 100. And now it ended at 150, and I'm like, wouldn't it be cool if I could end through 150? Like that. And I'm like, oh, I would definitely be there before 5 years, the way I'm doing stuff. But who knows? Like, we just had the 40th anniversary. We just had our, of the Ninja Turtles and all that. And I mean, I had the experience of a lifetime out at Granite. And, again, who am I? I'm nobody. But I go there, I have a table, and everybody knows everybody out there. So it's fantastic. I'd like to keep that sort of thing going for the next 5 years for sure. I'd like to get to a point where I can do the Saturday morning adventures, and I'd like to figure out a way to maybe incorporate some more content and hopefully make it enjoyable, like video content and things like that. But because we do have videos up there. I just admittedly to you, I'm not as much of a YouTube guy, so I know people like to consume content on YouTube, and I try to give them what they want there, but it's a little bit tougher. It's tougher too because of like fair use laws. Like, I'm reading out a story, and I'm doing a transformative performance of it for legal reasons, which is in the law of that. So I'm not trying to recreate it. So, you can only get so big if you do like an actual, I'm showing a comic book panel by panel, word by word and all that. You're headed probably closer to a copyright strike, whereas it is right now. Paramount knows who I am, but they haven't said anything.
Yeah.
IDW knows who I am, but they haven't said anything. In the conversations I had, it's like, yeah, we know about you. And the conversations I've had, it's like, yeah, we thought about doing something similar. To which I replied, but I did it first. So, and I did say that to a Paramount person. So, and I said to him, which is kind of cheeky on my part, I'm like, well, why haven't you yet? And why haven't you called me?
Yeah.
You know? It's like, if you want to give me a budget, like, we can do this. So
Yeah. Oh, I'd love that. So for those listening for the first time on Shellonomics here, who would enjoy the Epic Tales from the Sewers Ninja Turtles podcast?
Do you like Ninja Turtles? Do you like learning about artists and writers and all that who have touched it, and hearing their stories about how Turtles became a part of their life? You know, that's kind of who it's aimed for. If you're looking for like an audiobook style, we have episodes like that where you can listen to a story, and you can skip all the interviews if that's all you want to listen to. That's totally fine too. And on the other hand, if you don't want to listen to those, you can listen to just the interviews. But we talk about things that are interesting from a turtle perspective, whether it's a fan created movie that's coming out, or if it's a Kickstarter campaign for action figures that are released in the same spirit as the original Playmates. You know, that's interesting because it's in our sphere. It's what we're talking about, you know, on the turtle groups. So we're talking to those folks. So I'd say that's who it's for. And the other thing, and like my main goal, listen to it with your kids. Just the comics, not the interviews, because there may be a swear or two in that. But like listen to, you know, the turtle stories with your kids and be like, well, what do you think? Should we pick up a Turtles comic? That would be like, that's what it's about for me. Be like, if we can sell Turtles comics, and I get no part of that, but if I can influence, you know, like a 7-year-old to go and read the Archie comics, job done. You know.
Oh, but dude, Justin, it's been a pleasure talking. So where can people find Epic Tales from the Sewers? Where's your podcast? Where can it be found?
Well, the easiest place is we have a website, epictalesfromthesewers.com. I understand that it is an absolutely long title. There's a reason for that, like I described earlier on. But you can find us in the Epic Shells Facebook group. We also run the IDW TMNT group on Facebook as well. But I mean, if you're looking at podcast, there is literally not a platform that we are not on for podcast. So if you type in Last Ronin podcast, we will come up first. So it's like anything else like that. So TMNT podcast, I actually put that in the name, so it's Epic Tales from the Sewers, a TMNT podcast, just so you can search TMNT podcast and get us. But I mean, Good Pods is a great place to find it too. You know, usually we're in the top mix for shows on that one.
Oh, man, well, congratulations to all your success. If you have a little bit more time, I would like to play a little bit of rapid fire, and if you don't mind doing a little show and tell in the back of some of your collection.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so first off then would be why Leonardo as your number one?
Leonardo is everything that I want to be in a character that I may not be, but I aspire to. So he's the best student at martial arts because he has that level of focus. He takes everything on himself to make everybody else better and brings out the best in his team. So Leonardo is who I would like to be the most.
Favorite cartoon episode? Doesn't have to be Fred Wolf. Could be any of this here. Just the one that stands out the most. And we'll just say, for the record, not the first 5, because that's in a league of its own. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that's in a league of its own.
No, I totally get it. And I would go with the 2012 series. There's an episode that has Usagi Yojimbo on it, and I do not know the name of it, but I'm sorry, I should know that. It is a masterpiece. Like the whole Stan Sakai thing, where I think they even have Jay in it, who's the demon-possessed jackal or something like that with the spear. It is so friggin' cool. And 87, I'm going to go with an unconventional one. The one with for Easter with hokum hair.
Did you have the VHS tape growing up?
Of course. Okay, absolutely.
Yeah, yep.
But I'm a huge Mondo Gecko guy otherwise, so I would say anything with Mondo otherwise.
Okay, because that was our Christmas. We didn't have a Christmas. Can you still believe, again, I tell everyone all the time, how we didn't get a Christmas episode? Every other cartoon in that era had a Christmas episode.
Yeah,
and
they had snow and all that,
episode.
but yeah.
Yeah,
no, the Easter one was a big one for me. And then they go into the future and see themselves as 70-year-olds and such. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm with it.
Yeah, that one still makes me laugh. We'll show them what turtle powder can do. That's still one.
Poke 'em.
Favorite turtle video game? You have retro gaming of the turtles featured in your theme song. So which one stands out the best? It could be the arcade. Which one number one for you?
Easiest question you'll ask today. That is Ninja Turtles 3: The Manhattan Project on NES.
Yes,
Absolutely.
that is.
When you figure out if you hold the down button while doing the button, you can kill people with one flip move. The game is just it's your oyster. So
And it's still somewhat of a challenge to this day. I mean, I love
absolutely.
Turtles in Time, but the music's there, the bosses are there. I still want to know why they don't. They never. I mean, since maybe you've done this and covered it, or if you haven't, because I know you said you've talked we parodied the Konami music for your show, but I wonder if there's a way we can get someone on to ask why they had the Triceratops on the cover of that game, and it was nowhere to be found in that game.
you would have to ask Mike Dooney, who did the artwork. So maybe if you ever meet him, you can ask him.
Okay.
So, but make sure you buy something from him first, because he will be grumpy.
Understood with that one. How about favorite turtle comic crossover? I'm guessing it's Ghostbusters, but did you like Power Rangers more? Street Fighter?
No, Batman
one's the best?
absolutely.
Okay.
I am a huge fan of the Batman, the second one that they did, and I know Freddie loves the third one because he got to do the original '84 Turtles and all that. But the issue where Donatello gets the venom and all that, and like gets all beefed up, and then you've got like a venomized Bebop and Rocksteady. I freaking love that whole story, and it's such a Donatello story, so it's unconventional for me to like love it, but I love it absolutely. I'll tell you this: Stranger Things was good. So if your folks hadn't read the Stranger Things one, that is a worthy crossover.
Okay, might have to have you. Are you gonna? Well, maybe within the next 5 years of your goals, hopefully you'll be able to read that one for us.
I will probably be handling that as soon as I can. So
All right.
I have no idea how to do the kids, but we'll figure that out as we go.
Yeah, exactly. All right, 2 more quick ones for us. So, most exotic pizza you've ever tried?
I had a pizza in Michigan, which was crab meat, Thai chili sauce, and like cabbage or something like that. And it was no sauce, just like a white cheese and all that. But it had like crab meat, Thai chili sauce, and all that. It was pretty cool.
I'll have to try that one out. Did you ever have any of the pizzas from the show? Did you have marshmallow and pepperoni or any of those, just to say you tried one?
Undoubtedly, I did. I tried the jelly beans one and all that, and like he said, like Kirk said, the jelly beans wasn't bad. It was like jelly bean and sausage or jelly bean and pepperoni. They just melt down, and it's like a little bit sweet, and they're like, okay, yeah. So I definitely have. I didn't try like butterscotch and tuna fish or something, but I mean, I've had some weird ones, but I guess I don't count that as the weirdest one, because that like the crab one was like a legit pizza that I ordered. But yeah. And I will say this: I grew up in Connecticut, which is the land of really, really good pizza. And then moving out here to Illinois, it's like it doesn't really hold a candle. Like pizza is good most places, but it's like in Connecticut, it's fantastic. Wow. So.
That's a good fact. I would have never believed that, Justin. You're the first one to tell me that. Everyone always says Chicago, New York. Those are the pizza pies in the States. No, Connecticut's where it's at. Wow, we've never guessed
Number one pizza right now, I think if you look at like the rankings, is in Connecticut, New Haven, Connecticut, Frank Pepe's. So.
Okay, I guess I'll take a trip out there sometime to make sure I enjoy some za out there. Anything in your collection you'd like to give a little quick show and tell of back there? That's Turtles. I don't want to take up all your time today, but I appreciate the full hour you've given us. Just anything that like stands. I mean, you've shown us a couple cool artwork.
Yeah. Let me show you some artwork.
That's just too cool not to see.
Let me turn this light off so you don't get a glare. But yeah, so I love that last Ronin.
Yeah,
you can see it. So this is the one that I was showing before.
Correct.
With that's our logo done by Ken Mitroni. Next to it, you could see Gavin Smith did the Dark Leonardo.
Oh,
and that ended up being, I want to say, like issue 134 or something like that. Oh. If you go up a little bit, we got Mike Ruth, Mike Dooney, and Freddie Williams. Freddie redid the Nintendo video game cover with the new Ninja Turtles. If you can
really?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see it, but yeah, so he did that. Mike Ruth in the middle is an absolute favorite of mine. Usagi Yojimbo and Leonardo.
Yeah.
And then this was for Granite, and I know it's like nearly impossible to see with Granite, but this is Mike Dooney, who's my all-time #1 favorite Ninja Turtle artist, doing Usagi Yojimbo. I really like Usagi, and the Turtles. And that's something he did specific for Granite State.
Yeah.
But if nothing else, above that, Kevin
Main event
Eastman
time.
on a sketch cover, Peter Laird on a sketch. So and then next to that is a print signed by Peter Laird. So it's like you have your history, you have everything else, you got all the new ones, and I'll show you one more over here if you can see on the top.
And you want to talk Holy Grail
in the corner, right? John Somariva did this this issue, and he asked online. He's like, and this was for Saturday morning, by the way. He's like, let's get everybody's nicknames. Who's got a good nickname? So I gave him my nickname. So my nickname is Coop. And oh, geez, I'm sorry, that's really bad.
Oh, no problem.
But, like up there, you can't see it in the far corner, but he's got my nickname on there, Coop. So and I mean, John's about the coolest guy. He's an Australian guy out of the turtle stuff. He's doing the multiverse. Was it Multiverses? The Warner Brothers game. He's doing that cover right now. So he's doing all that kind of stuff. So awesome. He's got a great book called The Neverlanders with Tom Taylor.
Dang.
Yeah, but that's a crown jewel for me because you know, he put my name on it.
Seriously, I'm talking Holy Grail. So favorite Master Splinter quote. Well, I'm with this.
Master Splinter quote. Okay, so this. Put the light back on. I got one for you because I'm glad that you said something here.
All right.
Let me pull this one up here, Mike.
Oh, no problem.
Let's see. Okay. So, can't this wait till morning? You will listen now. Master Yoshi's first rule: possess the right thinking. Only then can one receive the gifts of strength, knowledge, and peace. I have tried to channel your anger, Raphael, but more remains. Anger clouds the mind. Turn inward. It is an unconquerable enemy. You are unique among your brothers, for you choose to face this enemy alone. But as you face it, do not forget them, and do not forget me, my son. I am here, my son. I like that one.
Well done, my man. Well done. Well done.
I tried to do the best Kevin Clash I could, but you know.
That's challenge. That's a tall. That's
I
a
usually
tall
go
order.
with the Elmo, but
Oh God. I'm just thinking Elmo. I love you all, my son. Oh my God, dude, Justin, thank you so much for all this time you spent with us today. I know our fans are going to love it and appreciate it. I hope they all check out your show soon. And just again, thanks for your time and energy, and thank you so much for what you do for the Turtle universe as a whole. I didn't know how much of a giver you were with your podcast and everything until today. So very grateful to have you, you know, as a friend, and hopefully we can do another show down the road, man. Greatly appreciate it.
absolutely, man.
Alrighty, guys, we're out of here.
King Mike and the heroes in a half shell.
Thanks for listening to Shellonomics. Follow us on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for the video version. Stay tuned for more Ninja Turtles insights.